Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 18, almost 20 of Ryan and Anna on Miami.
Wow, almost 20.
I know.
We need to have like a guest or something for 20.
We do. Number 20 is a big deal.
And we have people who are lining up to be guests.
We do, actually. Look at that. We've come so far. Step by step, one day at a time.
Yeah. You know, I've always said this. It's really not about how many subscribers or how many views you get. It's the quality and who's watching.
100%.
And that, I mean, we go to a place all the time. Be like, oh yeah, I watch your podcast.
I
I'm
know,
like,
it's so nice.
That's great.
It's
I'm
like,
like,
thank you.
you found it. Because the only promotion that we do is our social media.
Correct.
And
Exactly
just
right.
word of mouth.
Yep. Exactly right. No, and it's come a long way. Ryan's done a great job improving everything here. The transformation has been amazing.
Yeah. I added some new mics, so the sound should finally be up to par.
Mics, lighting, all of it. Because, we only officially get older once a year, but it happens every day.
Get some soft.
You know how
soft.
it is. But anyway, progressing one day at a time, much like the city of Miami. So one thing I wanted to start with is some of the recent press attention Miami has been getting. All sorts of entities there's this ongoing attempt to cast dispersions on the transformation and growth that our region is witnessing. And I think this goes back to this concept of human nature, that people are resistant to change and they're attached to identity politics. They don't understand why things are going so well here or why we're bucking the national narrative. Maybe they're a little bit jealous, a little bit resentful. They don't like the politics. They don't like what it implies, blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is, there are tons of newspaper articles coming out saying the state of Florida is in something real estate. And then they use a picture of Miami, but not actually mention Miami in the story.
I've sent you so many of them because I always find them. And there's been so many recently. It's like they all got together and were like, we want to find like the cracks in Florida. Like they're doing well, so we need to find something to prove that they're not.
Yeah, correct. Exactly. Meanwhile, usually where these people are located, they don't need to look hard to find the cracks. They have all sorts of problems. Here they have to dig. They try to find something. But it's just, it's normal. It's human nature. The world is shifting. And there's one tweet I shared with Ryan today showing the growth in office vacancies across, I think, the top 20 sort of metros in the country. And it's astounding. Double-digit growth in office vacancy. And that's that shift to work to home that I've alluded to before. And that's people reshaping life around the capabilities of the internet. And if just 10% of people change their behaviors at scale, that's enormous. And South Florida is one of the regions that's on the receiving end of this relocation of wealth and talent. And it is how it is. The world's reshaping.
And, that is interesting because that is just the vacancies right now. We still have not gotten to the point where those COVID era leases are starting to fall off.
Correct.
We're getting close.
Yep.
But a lot of leases are signed for 5 years. And, a lot of those were signed 2019.
Correct.
And so we're 2024 now and 2025. So we're getting soon to the point where those leases are going to come up for renewal discussions.
Correct. Exactly right. And again, part of a main driving force in all of this, of course, is people, is population. And we had a 2023 census report come out, I think, a week or two ago, showing that once again, Florida is among the leaders of net population gain, both domestically and then internationally. We were number one. We're the number one net recipients of international migration. And a part of this whole study that I found quite interesting, this is actually comical. So the state of New York lost population, as in California. That pattern has continued. And they actually said, whatever political force spokesperson commenting on this from New York, they actually said that New York should be recounted and it's not fair because while they lost population, they gained migrants.
Really?
Yes. This was in the Post. It was everywhere. They're saying we have to redo the census because the migrants were not accounted for. And of course, my next comment to that was, oh, are they going to vote next? So everyone, they've lost taxpayers, but they've gained migrants. Again, I grew up in New York City. I loved it. I don't wish them ill, but you don't have to be a genius to realize that that's not good math when it comes to the state budget.
Speaking of math, I sent you an Instagram reel yesterday talking about the 100,000 or plus vacant apartments in New York.
Oh, yes.
And how was it 2018 that the law, or 2017?
Something like that, yeah.
And just, you guys know it, but New York passed this law that was for like housing stability and growth or something. And basically, in simple terms, it set limits on how much you could raise rent after someone moves out.
Right.
On a place that was already rent stabilized.
Right. So someone's grandma moves out after 40 years and was paying $900 a month. I'm making it up, on whatever property, it can't go to market rent. It can only go a certain percentage increase related to what the previous person was paying.
Yes.
Right.
And the guy was touring someplace, and the place was not glamorous luxury. It needed work. It needed quite a bit of work. Probably had lead paint, for all we
I'm
know.
sure it's the least of the problems.
But it was just really interesting because the landlords did that calculation. It was more profitable or less expensive to leave it vacant. And so now New York City has 100,000 plus empty rent stabilized units.
Yep. Exactly right. Talk about nonsensical laws with weird repercussions.
And, people always talked about, Miami needs to introduce rent control or rent stabilization. And this could be a whole podcast. But my thing about that is just look at cities where they have introduced rent control or rent stabilization practices.
It never goes well.
It never works, and you end up with 100,000 vacant units.
Yeah, 100%. We know how this script goes. It's been done before, basically, and we can see how it's gone before.
Yeah.
And then these measures are the initiative, again, of politicians who just want to get reelected. That's what drives a lot of the stuff that we know has clearly failed or doomed to fail future economic policy. It's politicians who just want to get reelected. They have no private sector experience. They can't get fired. There's no clawbacks. They're acting with, they can act however they want. And that's how these laws get passed. And then so they kick the can down the road. And they build that momentum cycle.
Yeah, and I've said this before in many podcasts, the only way out is to build.
Yes, supply and demand.
That's it. And you just showed me an interesting graph.
Yes. This is actually, so shout out to my friend Kyle Goodman, who's the founder of Market Proof in New York. They provide great data on all parts of the market, but also their pre-construction pipelines. And this is actually in the Journal. He was quoted in the Wall Street Journal, and it's a chart showing the condo pipeline and how much it's shrunk since 2015 and then declined more post 2020 in New York City.
Okay.
And that's a very, very real thing. So again, all these articles trying to find sort of chinks in our armor and negative stories there. We have one of the most active construction sites, we'll call it, in the country, in our city. Other places have massive shrinkage of pipelines, such as New York, and that's a future indicator. And now, anecdotally speaking, Ryan and I were invited to 2 groundbreakings on Thursday, and we could alas only go to one because they were at the same time.
Yeah, and they were within like 5 blocks of each other.
Yep.
Which is pretty wild. And they were both, I think, the when we went to the Domus one, that was short term. Was that daily?
Yes, the Domus project is a 1-day minimum.
Yeah. And then the other one, 2200 Brickell by Aria, is, I think that's regular, but I don't know, can you rent there? I don't remember.
I'm not sure.
But the cool news about that one is it's in South Brickell, west of Brickell Ave. And if you know Brickell Ave very well, it's basically like 3-story buildings and from the 1970s and a couple single family homes.
Yep.
So it's quite a long project. It's almost, I think it's like 2 or 3 blocks long, but it's only like eight or so.
The Aria one. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a mid-rise.
It's a mid-rise, but it's like ultra luxury.
I think both of these are in West Brickell.
Yeah, they
right?
are. No,
yeah. Domus
no,
is West Brickell.
South Brickell.
Okay, Domus was that West Brickell we were in?
It's kind of it's like southwest.
Okay.
Brickell. It's like it's on this side of the Metro Rail
Right.
track. So not.
I have no sense of direction, everyone. I was there too. I just never really know where I am. I don't drive. Uber takes me places, and poof, there I am.
It is interesting. Even with whatever is happening with interest rates and also that's happening, the amount of new projects and construction in Miami right now is just stupendous. That's a fun word to say.
It really is stupendous. Residential, sort of condos, multifamily. Remember, on the multifamily front, we've talked about this. We have the highest number of units under construction as a percentage of existing inventory than any city in the country.
Yeah. My friend, Kevin Ismiga, hi, Kevin. He posted a picture last week or this week, and he posted a picture of when he moved into his apartment, which is in like 2022 and to now. And like the skyline is like different in the span of like barely any time.
Amazing.
Yeah. So
all these are positive, forward-looking indicators. Active building, all that stuff. It's the opposite of having shrinkage of inventory.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And I don't. Speaking of other places, this is kind of a random side note, but did I talk about the Tampa video last week? Okay. So there's this girl in Tampa who does home tours.
Oh, yes. You sent it to me, but we didn't talk about it. That's
yeah.
right.
So she does home tours of places in Tampa, I think, like downtown Tampa. Anyway, she was talking to this sort of like OnlyFans girl, and I presume
she's an OnlyFans girl.
Yeah, it was an OnlyFans girl. No, not her.
Oh.
The person she was, the apartment she was touring.
Okay.
I think. Anyways, it was in Tampa somewhere. channel side or something. Anyways, I was shook by the video because it was a mellow quality building.
Mm-hmm.
You know, great vinyl floors, like very not super great finishes. 2 bedroom. It was probably like 1,100 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
No view, first floor.
Mm-hmm.
She was paying $3,700.
Yeah, I remember I was so surprised. I
And
said, for Tampa, for that?
and it's like, listen, I live at Canvas, and I think I've said this. I'm not afraid to say it. I pay $3,300 for my apartment. Canvas is a very nice building, very high
Mm-hmm.
quality. It's a
Mm-hmm.
condo building. I have infinity views in every
Mm-hmm.
direction.
Literally, he sees everything.
Yeah. I pay $3,300, and I was shook because I was just like, Tampa, like
No.
$3,700 for a multifamily building in Tampa. If you wanted me to live in Tampa, I've been to Tampa. It's very nice. But if you wanted me to live there, you have to cut my rent in half.
Yeah, at
At
least.
least, at
For both.
least, at least. And but this 30 had no view, no water,
It
not
was sad
waterfront.
looking. It wasn't like, wow, okay, like my place is awesome at that price there. Not really.
No.
Yeah, I know.
And so, anyways, I was just kind of shook
Uh,
by that. And listen, Tampa and St. Pete are doing quite well.
They are.
They're booming.
They are.
But for that price point, I was shook.
Listen, people keep coming to Florida. Those population numbers are all of Florida, so it's going everywhere. Is that?
Coming back to Miami, we got some pretty cool news last week. The mayor, hi Francis, they announced $83 million in federal funding for the underdeck. And just so you know, the underdeck is the new linear park that will be underneath the new reconstructed 395. A little bit of history about that. Back in the day, when they built 395, it cut downtown Miami in half. And back then, the portion of downtown Miami that it went through was today still was called Overtown. And Overtown was, they called it Harlem of the South.
Mhm.
It was the largest black community in South Florida. And at the time, I think that was the only place where black people could live in
That's right.
Miami.
They couldn't live in Miami Beach.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing. When Muhammad Ali trained down here, he had to actually sleep off the beach.
In Overtown.
Yep.
Yep.
And the Heritage Hotel has all that stuff, the suites where he stayed, all those things.
Yep. So with that in mind, they built 395 on purpose through Overtown. They cut it in half and through the most busiest commercial part of Overtown, which is sad. I mean, Miami is not unique in that. In the 70s and 60s and 70s, they did urban renewal and they built highways through a lot of historically black neighborhoods all over the country. So it's
shocking.
Yeah, it's sad. But in Miami, we're trying to somehow fix it. We're not fix it, but make up for it. And what they're doing is they're reconstructing 395. They're raising it about 30 to 40 feet, so it's very airy underneath. And they're building a linear park that will go all the way from where the interchange is now, the 95 and 395 interchange, will go all the way to Biscayne Bay. So you'll have a walking connection from Overtown directly to the bay.
That's fantastic.
It is.
Wow.
And the thing is that the Florida Department of Transportation is paying for the bridge. It's like $800 million, probably $1 billion by now. But there was no funding for the underdeck part of it because Florida doesn't care about that. at least FDOT doesn't. So we got the largest federal grant in Miami's history to fund the park underneath.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And it's nice because 395 has sort of, it's always functioned as like a wall, both psychologically, developmentally, and just physically too, between Overtown, Edgewater, Omni, where we are today. It's always blocked sort of the movement of people. So now with it reconstructed and there being a park underneath, the movement of people and cars as well should be much better. So that's
Sounds
a
like real progress.
That's the history lesson for today.
That's fantastic neighborhood progress.
Yeah.
I love that. And again, as an example of how quickly things change, that wasn't that long ago when we had that segregation.
Yeah. It really, it was, I mean, what, 50 years?
Yep. Plenty of people alive who remember it.
Yeah. So, we can't undo it, but we can try and, learn from the past.
Yep. And it's a great example of how today's reality does not have to equal tomorrow's reality.
Yeah.
And this applies to so much because people back then would have been resistant to whatever change they had too.
Yeah. So what is next? What else we want to talk about?
So we had Miami World Center updates.
Yep. We do have Miami World Center updates. There are quite a few of them, actually. We have, first of all, Adam Newman. He is building his little empire over there. He bought the first tower of Keoba, and he also bought the land for the second one. He's building a second tower of Keoba, and it's going to be apparently like a WeWork, but for apartments.
Mhm.
So that's great. And then also at Keoba, you have the plaza there. He's going to build like a co-working space, a gym, and like retail on the other side of My World Towers. So you have Keoba here with the 2 towers, and then on the other side you're going to have like a 3-story retail, entertainment, gym area on the nice pedestrian walkway. So that is that. And then we also have Gem,
Mhm.
which is exciting.
Mhm.
Gem with a J, and that's
That's a
going to
brand
be
new project just announced.
yeah, and that is going to be condos.
Yep, 30-day
Just
minimum.
30-day minimums.
Mhm.
Okay, and that's by
Naftali,
Neftali.
New York developer.
Okay, cool. So that's great. And then we also have Block C, which is directly north of Paramount. They were going to build an office tower there originally, but after COVID, it kind of fell apart. So now they're going to do a condo, hotel, and something else, retail. But it's going to feel that's sort of like the last block there, like in the main area that's unfilled, which will be very nice. It got approved by the Urban Development Board last week. So lots of good things happening in My World Center. Also, I saw that they have started clearing the how do you pronounce it?
Witkoff.
Witkoff. They've started clearing that area, and that's
Okay.
going to be 3 towers. That particular area is really important because it's the connection between My World Center and Brightline.
Okay.
Because right now there's like a big chunk of land in between Brightline and My World Center. There's going to be 3 towers there, about 2,100 units, retail, some office space. There's also going to be a grocery store there.
Exciting.
So yeah, that will be really big, and just there's all kinds of things. Oh, you guys probably know this, but they paused Legacy construction because they changed Legacy's design a little bit because they added some additional land, but they forgot to like update the plans. So they got to like the 13th floor and then stuff wasn't like lined up.
Oh no.
So they had to they had to stop and like redesign some things. They said it's good they caught it now, because they wouldn't have caught it now and the tower would have been closer to completion. It would have been very bad.
Wow.
So
See?
yes. Yeah.
Glad they caught it.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. Okay. What else?
What else do we have? We do have that office. It's in the news with that foreclosure suit.
Yes.
This happens everywhere. So chinks in our armor or whatever it is. There is a property that is under foreclosure. It was in Wynwood, Gateway Wynwood. What was it called?
Yeah, the Gateway at Wynwood. It's interesting that just came out today. Listen, I don't know much about financing or those sort of things, but something is goofy there.
Because it's almost leased, right?
Yeah,
It had done well in leasing, so it's not like they
yes.
weren't getting tenants. I
Yeah.
think somebody messed something up.
Yeah,
Is what it sounds like.
it sounds like someone messed up like the not leasing terms, the
Financing,
financing terms, or like they didn't make the right calculation, because yeah, they're like almost fully leased.
Yeah.
So something there is
Something's going on that
Yeah.
we're not aware of.
yeah, and it's also like very, very much like a trophy
Yeah, it was
building. And I read that it's only like a $90 million
110, I think.
110
Yeah.
loan, which the building is worth far more than that,
Correct.
and the land is. So it's not like it's not like in San Francisco or New York where they're selling stuff for underneath value. There's something goofy on the back end.
Yeah, there's something with the financing that who knows what went awry, but
Yeah.
I think it'll sort itself out. It's a prime product that's almost fully leased.
Yeah, Mindspace just moved in. So, and then what else do we have going on?
I'm surprised it wasn't a Wall Street Journal headline.
Yeah.
Miami office building in foreclosure. That'll be Monday's headline.
Yeah.
We called it, everyone.
They're right. They're writing it now.
I mean, probably. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well-
Okay, and then we have Koto Brickle.
Yes. So Koto Brickle is by the same people who did Aston Martin.
Mhm.
And they do very interesting designs. This one's like a triangle. It's like
The same architect, you mean? Or the developer?
developer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think they're from
Argentina.
Yes.
Yeah, they have like the Walmart or something of Argentina, right? Is that what they do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they built the Aston Martin, which is
Yep.
almost complete.
It
Finally.
took them 7 years.
7 years.
That's not an exaggeration.
Yeah. It's like, come on. I drove by there yesterday and the Riverwalk was almost complete.
Oh, nice. Okay, progress.
It's great because that's like the last chunk of the of the Riverwalk.
The frontage there.
Yes.
Yeah.
That, it's crazy. That was the most expensive lot per size in all of
It's only,
Florida.
I think, 1.25 acres, something like this, right?
Super
it's tiny,
tiny.
and it was
Yeah.
over $100 million.
Yeah, it was wild. But the views are permanently preserved, so
It's waterfront.
yeah. And that's great because it's like what was I gonna say? Oh, the Brickell one is interesting because it's not in a super luxurious or hot area. It's kind of out there by itself, and it's gonna be a very nice property.
Where in Brickell is it?
It is on 8th. It is west of the Metro Rail tracks.
Okay, so this is again a West Brickell story.
Yeah, and
all
it's kind of I think it's replacing the gas station there on the corner of West, Northwest, or Southwest Second.
all these gas stations disappearing.
I know, but listen, I don't like I like trains as much as the next person, but like we do need some gas stations, and there's only 2 left in the urban core. There's one at Brahmin and one on the same street. They're right, both. That's it. Otherwise, you have to go like way far to get gas. So that shall be interesting. Speaking of gas stations, there are 2 things happening. One is replacing that gas station. It's an office tower, the 36 tower. Their gas station is closed. They're clearing it. I know it'll probably take a while because there's probably a lot of environmental remediation that they have to do. But that's going to be pretty crazy. And then across the street, the Denny's, they are tearing that out, and they're going to make a multifamily with a grocery store underneath.
Ah, yes. People were saying on Twitter they would have their one last Denny stop.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's funny. My best tweets are always like random stuff like that. Like people
love it.
People love it. Like Denny's. Okay.
Literally like 100 replies. And I'm
I
like,
know.
wow, everybody loves Denny's.
Yeah,
Okay,
I know.
like, do we need a going away party? Get some pancakes? I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot happening there. Also, so what you have happening there is you have west of Blue, the curved one, the last tower sort of on the row there. There's going to be a condo directly behind, directly to the west. It's going to be kind of small. Then you have Tower 36, and then across the street you have the Denny's. And then directly to the south of that, you have, I think it's called Vita Edgewater. It looks sort of like the 2200 Brickell one. Sort of the same design. But there's a lot happening right there. A lot.
Exciting times.
It is.
I saw an article today that Brightline had record traffic too. Record traffic requests or something like this.
Yeah. The Brightline, they're saying they are capacity constrained.
Yes, that was the phrase.
In a couple of their treks.
Yes.
They've had to limit the short distance, like from Miami to Aventura, because there's not enough space for people who want to go to Orlando.
See, people are using transit.
Yeah. Build it, and they will come.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, it is a good thing. And then lastly, the update is PMG has rebranded Central Brickell to 120 Brickell, and it's going to be a condo. But the interesting thing is, it's going to come with a deeded office co-working space. So you'll get like a mini office with each building. I mean, each unit.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Talk about house. Remember, we spoke a few weeks ago about how Miami is building for new demand versus having to retrofit or destroy or not able to destroy and rebuild.
Yeah.
So this is a great example. It's a building built in accordance to new demand.
Yep.
New post-COVID demand.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and I think, going back to the stories of people who are sort of your favorite word, casting aspersions.
That's my new phrase.
That's your new
casting aspersions.
Yeah, casting aspersions. It's like you can always find drama and bad things if you look for it. Always. And Miami is not immune.
No.
Look at this foreclosure thing we have going on. Or, one Brickell City Center is having trouble finding an anchor tenant. There's always going to be those stories. But you have to look at it into the whole picture, the 360 of it.
Yep.
And that's how I look at it.
Correct. And remember the adage that I find is very much true is that those criticizing you are almost always doing less than you.
And I'm gonna throw in a plug here. I recently got a new job. You may have seen that on all my socials, but
with a very good friend of mine. It's so exciting. The 2 people I WhatsApp talk with the most are now working together.
Hi, Nikolai.
Hello.
So the company I work for now is called Deep News, and Deep News is an AI news curation platform. And what it does is it scans Twitter and takes all the tweets, the sources, journalists, news publications, and It takes all of that and then it builds summaries of these stories
Mhm.
that are unbiased and
Mhm.
very like almost sort of like NPR,
Mhm.
very just like
Mhm. AI writes it.
not NPR, sorry, Associated
Yeah.
Press,
Yeah.
Associated Press, like very associated. It's like it's perfect. It's an AI Associated Press.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay,
Correct. And then
okay,
it lists all the sources as well in the
yeah,
article. So you read the article, you have all the sources under it, so you could dig deeper and follow the story.
yeah. That's what I like is that it gives you both the AI sort of AP
The text
AI
portion.
text portion, then it gives you all the sources.
Yep.
And it also gives you a graph about the story if it's a positive or a negative,
Yep.
which I think is really
Yep.
cool.
It's super cool. I'm a huge fan. I read it every day.
Yeah, so guys, please check out Deep News. It's Deep News with a Z dot
Yep.
com.
.com. And then Nicole and I also we do jujitsu together. We have all these overlaps. So I met him before jujitsu. I met him actually at the boxing gym, in Fifth Street Boxing Gym, a while ago before I ever, like maybe five, I don't know. And it was through a friend on Twitter. Some
Okay.
crazy guy, Barbarian Capital. I didn't mean call it crazy guy. He's out there on Twitter. I think he's a Bulgarian guy. He says, "Oh, you two know each other. You should meet." And then he connected us on Twitter. No, he said you both work at the same gym. You should meet. And then I was at Fifth Street Gym one day and I said hi. And then he was at Columbia briefly. I went to Columbia, but we didn't meet there. Did we overlap there? I'm not sure. And then we met here, and now we both do jujitsu. And then he has his company, and now you're working for his company. This is wonderful. In fact, I'm seeing him tonight at Open Mat.
Yeah, it's great. I really have enjoyed working with
All we
him.
need now is for Ryan to do jujitsu also, and we'll have the whole
Oh
complete
no.
circle.
Oh no, honey. Like, does it look like I do sports? No.
Not everyone is fit in jujitsu. There's regular people who come to Open Mat and do.
Anna, that is a lie.
That is not a lie.
Everyone is like,
Just the boys I train with.
hi boys.
Okay, my jujitsu Open Mat joke. So I'm often either the only girl at Open Mat or one of the few. And so I have this fantastic idea. I'm gonna make a rash guard. Those are those little tight shirts that you wear for no gi jujitsu, and I'll keep it in my bag and wear it on the occasions where I am the only girl at Open Mat. And it's going to say, "I make this less gay."
Oh, Anna, you are always causing trouble.
And I'll just put it on and walk out and be like, "What?" Like I'm not saying anything. It'll be fantastic.
Wow. Okay. Well, I think I was telling Anna yesterday. I was like, screw this real estate podcast. You just need to go on and make a podcast about like all these guys that you wrestle sweatily with.
Bristle sweat. That's fantastic
I
phrasing.
I'm sure we could get Hector on there.
Oh, I have no idea what he's talking about.
Okay. Well, I'll edit that one out.
I think Ryan, he's day drinking today.
It's Friday.
Exactly. Who is it?
Wow. Okay. Anything else to sort of so I think I want to go back just to sort of wrap this up.
Mhm.
Is like going back to like the stories to rebut. Like I said, it's just very interesting, and it's like all the press recently got to. It's exactly the same effect as COVID, sort of.
Okay.
It's like COVID.
Yeah.
Like back when we had COVID and Florida was doing better than expected. I'm
Right.
not saying it was great, but it was
Right.
doing better than expected.
They were mad.
They were mad and they couldn't figure out why. I'm not saying it was down to any one particular thing, but they were just upset. They couldn't figure out why. And so now it's like the housing market and the prices are that. It's like it's doing better than the rest of the country. And they cannot for the life of them figure out why.
So part of it when I talk about the identity politics is that when you look at the maps of where the population of how the population shift is occurring. And again, I'm a registered independent. I dislike both political parties. This is not a qualitative statement. I'm just observing. Population flow is very solidly going from blue states with higher taxes that were high lockdown to states that were the opposite.
Yeah.
And that's just how it's going. And that is triggering all sorts of identity politics and like all weird morality stuff in people's heads where they disagree with the politics or identities of the states that are on the receiving end. They think they're evil, they think they're bad, they're mad that they're winning, all those things. And so I think that's what's true. And America has extremely polarized belief systems where people think the other side is evil, like on both ends. It's like the enemy is evil and crazy. And in this case, the sort of beneficiaries of the population shift, we're talking about taxpayers, are states that were not locked down, that are not blue states, and that typically don't have an income tax.
Yeah.
And that's a very clear pattern. And I think it's really triggering people.
Yeah. I don't know. I just, it's nothing. My whole thing is nothing is ever as good or as bad as it
No,
appears. And
it's not.
that's a famous quote from someone. I don't know who it's
Yeah,
from.
it is correct.
Um, I feel like it's like Walt Disney or something. No, not Walt Disney. It's one of the like Mark Twain, Walt Disney
Yeah.
people. Mark Twain, I think.
Okay.
Nothing is ever as good or as bad as it seems. And we try on this podcast to like show both sides. That's the whole point of it.
Right.
We're not just being like Miami's the best. Like everything is rosy and perfect. It's not. It's not true. Every city has. Every region has drama. It has good things
It's
and
just
bad
people.
things.
People are people everywhere.
Yeah.
People are people everywhere, and it's also a function of what you choose to focus on and fill your life with.
Yeah. And like,
Yeah.
listen, like today we reported on this foreclosure, and we wouldn't do that if we were just like straight up money boosters.
100%. Look, before COVID altered sort of our landscape here, our luxury market was not in good shape. It was an oversupply, and I was
Yeah.
one of the only people saying that to the press. So it is what it is.
Yeah. And it's the same thing. Like before COVID, they were basically giving away rent. I mean, these like apartments in Brickell,
Mhm.
or when I moved here, I lived in almost like a penthouse. My portion of it was $1,400. It was like $3,000 for a penthouse.
Yeah.
That today is closer to the total is closer to $7,000,
Yep.
$8,000.
Exactly.
So we weren't. It wasn't always this great, and the market is always, what's that word? Not cylindrical. Cyclical, and there's good times and bad times.
Yep.
But what really happened is that Miami's market used to go like this. It used to go whoosh like that.
Mhm.
As far as I know, that's
Mhm.
from what I've seen. But now it's just a little less roller coastery.
Well, the floor has risen.
Yes.
The floor has risen a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. So like
And it's the roll, whatever the cycle is, it's at a higher tier.
yeah.
Yep.
So it's just it's like smoothed out the curve,
Mhm.
because by this point in 2024, we should have had at least 2 cycles happen,
Right.
at least. And as far as I can tell, we're still in the cycle that started in 2020.
Yep. 100%. So the rapid portion of it is, well, it's there's been a sort of an abatement in the velocity of the growth, right? But we're at the floor has risen. That's just what I keep saying. Lower price points have essentially disappeared,
Yeah.
and the floor. I mean, here's a funny little stat for you. On Palm and Hibiscus Islands in Miami Beach, which are of course single family markets, there between Palm and Hibiscus Island, there are 4 homes listed under $10 million.
Wow.
That's it, and all except for one are 1940s and 1950s houses.
So teardowns.
Yep, land value. And that used to not be the case. There used to be many listings below $10 million.
Yeah.
So it's just an example. Same thing. Every year I do these articles with the Herald showing the median price points across the zip codes in Miami-Dade and Broward counties, and the minimum, like the ones with anything below 300,000, just it keeps going away. The floor of the market just keeps rising. It's a pattern throughout.
Yeah. And it's like the same thing with offices. Before COVID in Miami, you were hard pressed to give away offices that weren't for financial companies,
Mhm.
banks,
Mhm.
and whatever. Now we have people. We're running out of those Class A offices that tech companies want,
Mhm.
and we're having to build it because people want it now.
Mhm.
They didn't want it before. Changing things in COVID,
Right.
resetting things,
Exactly. New
and
demand.
yeah, and it's interesting. That is, I've said this before, but one of the interesting things about Miami is that before COVID, Miami had what I call a reverse downtown.
Okay.
And a reverse downtown is when you have more people living in downtown than working.
Right. Which is unusual.
Yeah. Most cities like San Francisco, New York City, LA, more people go in there to work than they do to live.
Mhm.
And then you have people commuting out to the suburbs to live. In Miami, we had the other way around. We had people living in downtown Miami and then going out to like Doral or like Coconut Grove for work.
Mhm.
But now we're starting to get people who are live, work, and playing in the downtown core.
Exactly.
And that is entirely new.
Yep.
Downtown Miami, even Brickell, used to be dead after 6 p.m.
Oh yeah. Now it's hopping.
Hopping.
Tons of people.
Yep.
Mhm.
So that it's all about the shifts, and there will always be shifts. There will always be change. But one of the things I really adore about Miami is that we aren't afraid to fully take advantage of those shifts and those cycles.
I think it's because we're such a new city. We're such a new city. We have room for it, and we have this good energy of the people that are coming.
Yeah, and we're not afraid of the past.
Because we don't have much of one.
Yeah.
That's not
Like,
true. It's 100 years. Or what's 100 years?
Yeah. It's like, we aren't afraid to tear that thing down and build something new.
Which is a good thing.
Oh, speaking of tearing down, drama.
Mm.
I totally forgot this. The addition drama
I don't know.
in Edgewater. The thing about the HOA,
Oh,
yes,
yes,
2
yes,
roads.
yes.
So
Yes.
you guys may have seen, so in Edgewater, there's a project that is going to be by 2 roads. I think that's who it is.
2 Roads Development.
Yeah, and they bought out Biscayne 21, which is an ancient, more or
Mhm.
less, built in the 60s condo building. And back then, the HOA docs were written so that you would get 100%
This
of,
is for the condo sellout, yeah.
yeah. So that has changed in modern
To
buildings.
80.
It's 80. But apparently there was some shenanigans. I don't know. I don't know the details, but apparently it got changed from 100 to 80, and it's been in the courts for a long time, and a lower court just ruled that the developers were wrong for changing it from 100 to 80.
Right. Meaning 2 people can kill the vote,
Yes.
which, wow.
But the thing is, it's crazy is because if this ruling stands, you will basically not be able to terminate older buildings.
Which is not good for the buildings. Old buildings can be like boats. You're just throwing money, good money after bad, whatever the expression is.
Yeah.
And many older people in fixed income, they can't afford it. They can't afford the repairs. They can't afford the assessments. And these things are not going to last forever.
Yeah. And so now I don't really even understand what's happening because they offered the people above market value. They got paid more money. And I just don't know what these people are trying to get at.
I have no idea what their upside is.
I don't get it. But apparently the damages, if it stands, are in the hundreds of millions of dollars. That's how I read it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no way. Like
It's crazy.
I don't see this standing in a higher court. So I think it might go to the Florida Supreme Court, but I don't think leaving it as is would be just
like, guys,
bad.
Take your money and run. Like, take your money, abandon ship. It's for the best.
Yeah. Anyways, it's just, but the whole thing is now it's frozen. They
Right.
can't do anything. Here's the thing. The building's gutted. It's just not demolished.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So it's not like they can move in. Like, it's not like they can move back in.
It's so bizarre.
So it's literally just some sort of like not blackmail. It's almost like an extortion on the developers.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's gutted. The building's gutted. It's been gutted for months.
Took their money and they already left.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, the FPL turned off the power. The building's gutted.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's drama to add to the mommy drama. I was talking. It was funny. I was talking to this at the groundbreaking for Domus. I was talking to this older realtor lady. She was very wonderful, and she was asking what I did. She asked me if I was a realtor, and I was like, "Oh no, honey, I'm not a realtor. I don't want to be one. That's why I have her over here." And she's like, "Oh, why are you buying real estate?" I'm like, "I just like the drama." And she was like, "Oh."
Oh, whatever do you mean?
Yeah. It was great. She was like very, sort of like classic realtor, like
Miami groundbreakings are fascinating things.
Yeah, or this groundbreaking was fabulous. It was like a cross of like a summer picnic in the Hamptons, and I don't know.
It's very interesting.
There was like, all the girls were in linens and like bodycon dresses. The guys were in like 3-piece suits.
I know.
And
there's mimosas.
There's coffee.
There's food.
I literally had like a mimosa.
We were
and
double
a coffee.
fisting.
Yeah, it was quite something, and we took a lot of photos on
It was fun.
the construction equipment.
That's right. And Ryan's secret Ray-Ban spy glasses.
They were fun.
Those are fun.
You need to get
I'm
some.
gonna go to the store and try on the frames.
Yeah, you would have fun with that.
It's in Wynwood.
Wynwood and My World Center.
Okay.
You would have fun in jiu-jitsu too. You could.
He just wants training footage.
Yes.
But again, he could just do jiu-jitsu also.
I'll just sit on the sidelines and just like eat popcorn.
We're going to try. I resisted for a year and a half. I didn't want to do jiu-jitsu. Coach Dino spent a year and a half convincing me. And now I'm like the neighborhood drug dealer. I'm like, here, little boy, try the first one for free. You want to do it?
I love it. So, yeah. Well, this has been great.
Super good.
I like this new setup.
I know. We have our board here with the lights. It's great.
Yeah, you can't see it, but we added a board here with like the stories on them because we both have ADD and we're both just would ramble.
Yeah, there's so much. Exactly. It's super smart.
And there's so much going on in Miami that we would be hard-pressed to remember it all.
And then when Q1 finishes, which it will soon, I'll have a great report that will be actual data, not this anecdotal Miami is sinking nonsense.
You need to make your next report like really sassy.
Okay.
Like so we can like
okay
like staple it on these people's doors.
We'll do something fun.
And I know we've been saying it for a while, but we do have a project
We
launching
do.
soon,
It's
right?
coming. It's coming. Yes. Yes. He's like, right. Yes.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yes. It's coming. It's coming, everyone.
Yeah, it'll be exciting. We have a new venture starting,
Yes.
so
It's awesome.
it's very exciting. So, all right, guys. Well,
Ciao, ciao.
thank you
Thank
for
you.
watching, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye bye.